In this video, we're going to dive deep into the relationship between genes, gene expression, and health. We've all heard that genes play a huge role in who we are, from traits like hair color to how we respond to allergens and even stress. But genes are only part of the story. The true driver of health and disease is how these genes are expressed, or in other words, how they turn on and off in response to our environment, lifestyle, and mindset. Let's break it down. Think of genes as the blueprints within our cells. They contain instructions for building proteins, which perform many of the essential functions in our bodies, everything from repairing cells to supporting immune responses. You've likely had labs drawn by your doctor to assess your health, and most of these blood markers are either directly related to proteins or are influenced by proteins in some way. Now, just because we have a genetic blueprint for building these proteins doesn't mean it's always being put to use. This is where gene expression comes in. Gene expression is the process that determines when, where, and how much of a specific protein is made, responding to the body's needs and signals from the environment. Proteins perform nearly every function in our cells, from enzymes that break down histamine to structural proteins that maintain tissue strength. For instance, if you have a specific genetic variant in a protein like the HNMT gene, it might break down histamine less effectively, potentially increasing sensitivity to allergens. While this genetic variant provides a blueprint for reduced histamine breakdown, the actual impact is largely controlled by gene expression, which can be influenced by diet, stress levels, sunlight exposure, and other environmental factors. Think of your genes like a set of IKEA instructions. They provide guidelines for building essential components in your body. Your genes might instruct your body how to process histamine in a particular way. However, just like an IKEA project where the final product can differ based on how closely you follow the instructions, the actual build of these proteins varies based on how well the genes are expressed, and this expression is influenced by external factors like diet, stress, and sunlight exposure. So, even with clear instructions, the final outcome relies heavily on how well you integrate your environment into the build. This brings us to an essential point. Studies suggest that around 25% of protein production may be directly tied to our genetic sequences, while approximately 75% is influenced by gene expression. Keep in mind that this distribution isn't exact and can vary widely between different types of proteins. It also can't be perfectly measured, as gene expression is influenced by so many factors. And in my honest opinion, I think it actually leans much more heavily on the gene expression side. I'll expand on why I believe that in future content, but for now, remember that even if you have a genetic predisposition, your environment plays a much larger role in shaping how these genes impact your health. Now, what affects gene expression? Environmental factors like physical surroundings, stress, nutrition, social support, and even exercise all play a role. For example, sunlight can trigger genes for vitamin D production. A nutrient-rich diet can impact genes tied to inflammation or metabolism. Positive social interactions can enhance resilience-related genes, while conflict or isolation can increase inflammation-related gene expression. And even your mindset has an impact. Your psychological state and beliefs can alter gene expression, which then influence health outcomes. I highly recommend exploring Bruce Lipton's The Biology of Belief book, where he gives a more detailed explanation of how our environment and our perception of it can drive the expression of our genes. In the upcoming videos, we'll explore my 4 pillars of physical health, which are designed to support your environment and optimize gene expression, helping to keep your body in balance and working at its best. When your genes express themselves correctly, your body can maintain homeostasis, and that is essential for health and well-being. Let's dive in to see how we can start making this happen.